Hello there and welcome back to Cobra Vids. Today we have another bike video. This is the Kawasaki Z400. We're going to do a little maintenance to it. It's got almost 10,000 miles on it. It's 8 months old, and what we're doing today is we're changing the brake fluid. It's starting to look a little brown, if you know what I mean, and it's time to swap it out anyway. We're going to go through that. We're going to show you how to do it, and hopefully it'll help you out on your bike. And it's pretty much the same process for any bike with hydraulic brakes. This one here has front and back hydraulic, and so it's getting a little old, so we got to change it out. And you know, brakes are very important. If you don't have brakes, you might find yourself, and that would not be good. At least, I don't think it'd be good. I try to avoid that at all costs. All right, first off, guys, we got to loosen the reservoir caps. That didn't work. Oh, I see where it went wrong. There's a screw right here that has a little bracket on it. After removing that screw, the cap just screws off. Duh. This is the first time I've had this off, by the way. Alright, so we've got the cap off. So the fluid does look a little brown, so it's definitely needing replaced. So we're going to go ahead and move on to removing the... Okay, so here's the front brake reservoir right there. What we'll have to do is we'll have to pull off the two screws right here. There's one. There's two. I thought because the bike's at an angle it would pour out. Thank goodness it's not. Right at the moment. There we go. Beautiful. The front brake fluid doesn't look too bad. It's still pretty clear. Right there, the front brake fluid doesn't look that bad. It's still starting to look a little brown, and it is due for the change. So we'll go ahead and suck that out. I don't know if you could see that one, but the rear one is dirty. Much dirtier than the front. So they both need replaced, of course. Because we're doing the 6-month... Alright guys, so to get the fluid out, I just find any old dirty piece of hose, stuff it in there and suck it out. Because, you know, it's liquid, so, you know, just... Ugh. Bad idea, guys. On second thought, let's try a syringe, and we'll suck it out with the syringe. Brake fluid tastes like shit, guys. And then we will discharge this into a collection bottle. Got a little bit in here. We suck out all the old fluid, and then we pour in some fresh fluid, and then bleed off the brakes until the dirty fluid is out. Top it off, we'll be good. And we'll take this stuff out of here too. This stuff is dirtier. There we go. Ready for the shot, Doctor. Dr. Cobra Vids. Operating once again. Alright. So as you can tell, that fluid is pretty gross right there. Okay, now, so what we're going to do is we're going to put some fluid in both reservoirs and then bleed them off, like I had said. And, but first, we gotta go grab the fluid. Be right back. Alright guys, I'll be right back. I'm gonna jump on the Vulcan and go for a ride and pick up that brake fluid because I didn't get it yet. Kawasaki quality right here, man. This is a damn good bike. The Vulcan 900 LT. Way to go, guys. Good job on it. You waited for me. Awesome. Well, I got it. So now that we're back, we have our fluid. We're using Prestone brake fluid .4. That's what pretty much all bikes go for, and this is a synthetic fluid. It says it'll last 50,000 miles, but I'll probably go another 20 on this, or until it starts turning brown again. Because as you saw in the beginning of this video, the outcome of not being able to control your bike is a little scary. So I'm gonna just put just enough in here to fill it up to the line, and then we're going to start bleeding off the brake. I'll go ahead and top this one off. It's a little higher than it was, but I'm going to be bleeding it off, so I want plenty. Alright, so we're going to start with the front brake, and right under this rubber little cover here is the bleeder screw for the front brake. Okay, the front one is an 8mm. Let's go ahead and break it free. There we go, broke free. Now, on a serious note, when you're bleeding your brakes, some people will stick a hose right here and lead it into a bottle and watch for the bubbles to stop forming. That's one way of doing it, but once you bleed off brakes for quite some time and you learn what you're doing, that is not necessary. So the way that I'm going to do it is I'm just going to grab an old rag right here, and I'm going to catch all the brake fluid that comes out of here. Now the rear one, I haven't looked at where the bleeder is at that. I might have to do a hose because I don't want to get too much crap all over my my bike. Because burning brake fluid tastes more like shit than clean brake fluid. All right, so first off, I'm going to apply brakes up top. This is kind of nice because on a car, you really need somebody to assist you, or you can use the self-bleeding setup with the hose and a collection tube with brake fluid already in it. But if you want to go that route, you can go to any part store and they would have that set up for you. What we're going to do is we're just going to apply pressure here without doing too much pumping. We're going to just apply pressure, and then down here we're going to relieve, we're going to relieve the pressure slowly to allow the brake fluid to flow out. And once it's almost down all the way, once this is down almost all the way, I will let up and then do it again until clean fluid comes out of here, which it's all really clean, so we won't have to do it too much. Breaking this loose, and I watch for, or I feel actually, because I'm not watching this, I'm watching the fluid come out. I'm feeling for the front brake to almost get down to the very bottom of the brake travel here, and then I tighten it up before it gets all the way down to the bottom, because you don't want any fluid to be sucked back up into it. I'm just going to do it a couple more times. As you can see, it's very simple. The brake is feeling very nice. And one more. Okay, there you go. And as you can see up here, it did not use much fluid at all, and that is probably going to be really close to where we want it when we set the bike up. I might suck a little bit out of there, because if you look at the level with it at an angle, it's right here, and I want to bring it down just a hair, because if it's going to be a tad bit too full, I would say, because I like to see a little level in here, because if you don't see a level, then and your brake fluid's perfectly clear, you can't tell if it's empty or full. So I like to see a little line here, so I'll take a little bit out of there. The brake is actually bled off just beautifully. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and reapply the boot in here. I removed just a hair fluid, and then we'll set the cap back on here and just start the screws here, and then get my screwdriver. Need a long screwdriver. Just kidding. I can see a little bubble there, and that tells me that there's fluid in there and the level is full. You can see the line right there on the right side of the viewport there. That is the minimum. You don't want it lower than that. And I can see just a little bit up top there. That is fine. I am done with the front. So now what I'm going to do is just make sure this is nice and snug. I'm going to remove my towel, and as you can see, there's no dripping, no fluid leaking at all. I caught it all. That's the way I like to bleed off these brakes. One other thing that I do when I'm messing with anything in the tire area is I just check the rotor. I make sure there's no grooves or anything that indicates brake issues. I check, since this is an anti-lock system, I check the anti-lock gear. Well, they're not really gears on here. It's more like a plate. And I make sure that there's no debris blocking the holes, such as bug juice. I've had bugs splatter across here, and it actually sets off the ABS light. So I just make sure that it's all clear, do an inspection of all the lines and hoses, make sure everything's good, because your front brake does like 70–80% of your braking. So that's all done. I am very happy with the way the brake feels. We'll go take it for a ride, and I'll report back to you guys how it does. But anyway, we're gonna back up now and do the rear. Well, all right, guys, now we are at the back of the bike here, and here's the back brake caliper. And again, there's a little rubber cover over here. This is a perfect alignment here. I don't have to get no hoses or, to redirect, because if this was way up underneath something and I couldn't feel comfortable about a rag, then I would go and take a hose and attach a hose to this and run it down somewhere where it wouldn't run all over the place, because brake fluid on your rotor and stuff, that is never a good thing. So what I'm going to do is get set up here. All right, we've got my garbage rag here, right there. We're going to get it up against here so it doesn't squirt out too far. It's going to capture it on the rag instead. And we'll get our, oops, wrong side. Okay. Oh, maybe that wasn't the wrong side. That was the right side. Okay, so I'm going to make sure it's loose. And this is a little harder, but since this is a sports bike, the brake is a lot further back, so I will still be able to bleed it with my hand and won't need somebody on the bike. So I'm going to apply pressure on the brake. Let it all pour out right before it gets to the end. Cap it off, because you never want to take that pedal all the way to the end, because all you're doing is clearing out the fluid. Because when I sucked all the fluid out, I didn't apply the brakes or anything, so I didn't suck any air in there really. So all we're doing is flushing out the dirty fluid and potentially air if it did get in there somehow. All right, so we're gonna apply brake again, cut it off. Okay, everything's looking good, nothing's dripping. Okay, check the fluid level. Fluid level's good. All right, go again, all the way to the floor. Steady movements. You don't want to start and stop as you're pushing, so it's just a slow, steady movement. You want your fluid to come out steadily, because if you stop, that might be a chance for introduction of air into your line. So, okay, brake is feeling really good. All right, so we'll cut it off. Okay, we're going to do one more. Looks like there's really good fluid coming out of there, so I'm happy with that, guys. Really clean fluid. I know you really can't see anything on the camera, you know, the difference of the fluid, but you could trust me. All right. Okay, so I'll top off the reservoir, make sure that it is clear. But first, I want to inspect the anti-lock gear or plate. Inspect the rotor. The rotor is looking good. The brake pads, I can see that there are plenty of life left on them. Check the hoses and the anti-lock wire, the sensor wire, because it goes down here. All right. Okay, well, everything looks good, guys. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. So what we'll do now is come up here. I'm going to hold the bike upright, and the other I'm going to pour just a little bit of fluid in there, just to bring it up to the top. So right now it's a little high, so I got to suck a little bit, bring it down a little bit. It doesn't take much to fill this one here up at all, but I'm going to suck a little bit out. I tell you what though, it is better to have too much brake fluid than not enough. Okay, right there is where I'm going to go. The line is right here, so that is perfect for me. So what I'll do now is I'll just put the cap on. Here's the cap. Put the cap on just like that. Okay, tighten it up. And you remember that screw? Here's the little bracket. Here's a screw for it. And this bracket just will go right here. And what it does is it just, oops. That's the way it goes on. Make sure you get it on there right. Yeah. All right, so we'll just make sure that it's on correctly, and then we'll screw it down. And how you know it's on correctly is this little tab here is designed to keep this cap from coming off. This bracket, the way you know it's on right is this little flap goes over the edge of the cap to hold the cap on. Well, all right, guys, that's pretty much going to wrap it up. I will go for a ride, and then at the very end of this video, I'll let you know how it went. But Kawasaki recommends that you cycle out the fluid just like this, 8 months or 8,000 miles or something around there. So once you notice that your brake fluid is starting to get a little brown, go ahead and swap it out. It's very easy, guys. I am not a motorcycle professional. Believe me, I'm not. So don't anybody think that this video, I'm trying to be professional, because I'm not. I'm an amateur. I've been riding for only 2 years. I've owned motorcycles for 2 years. That's it. But I am very proficient with cars. So having the same kind of systems, it's easy to transfer that knowledge onto a bike because the systems are almost identical, except you got 2 wheels instead of 4. Some cars I drove, I barely had 1 wheel. Anyway, that's for another story. But anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. If you have the slightest bit of mechanical knowledge, don't take your bike to the shop unless you got lots of money to spend, because this here took me, what, 10 minutes total to do this process, and you would have spent a couple hours at the dealership, depending on your dealership. We have a pretty good one here. I always go right down the road to Kelly's Kawasaki. That's a great place to go. That's where I bought my Vulcan and stuff from. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them. I'm always willing to answer any questions, because, you know, that's why I do it. So as you can see, I don't use a bike stand or a bike jack, ramp, whatever. I don't use that for simple things like this, because it takes more time to set it up, strap it down and stuff. And you really don't need it for this. If I was going to work on the engine, tear it down, then I might put it up on a stand. All right, guys, I'm going to go for a ride and be right back to you. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. She's braking beautifully. There's no hesitation. It's very tight. When I apply the brakes, it starts stopping me, and I won't be like that guy in the beginning of this video. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching Cobra Vids. It's a pleasure doing these videos for y'all. If you have any comments or questions or suggestions, please leave them down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, guys. Until then, stay safe, guys. Watch where you're riding. Watch the idiots around you, because like my dad always says, the idiots won't watch you. See you next time, guys. Until then, both wheels on the ground. Catch you later.